Paleocon was really reactive against the neocons.
Okay.
And I would say that even before there were paleocons, there's an older tradition. You have an old American right, which is very different than the post-World War II American right. And it is nativist, and it is anti-war, and it is what you would call America first. It is very Christian. There is an old right in America. I would say that you have that in the House Committee on Un-American Activities. I would say you have that in McCarthyism. In the aftermath of the 40s, in the aftermath of World War II, in the 40s and 50s, you have the Red Scare, the Lavender Scare. They're anti-communist, against subversives. They're against gays. So that's like an early iteration of what you might call paleocons. Then you get some organizations in the 60s and 70s, the Council for Concerned Citizens, the John Birch Society. They never talked specifically, explicitly about Jews, but they were very conspiratorial. And then it's really in the 70s and 80s that you get the first clash between the actual neocons and the paleocons. And it does come down to these types of issues. And the prominent paleocons are guys like Patrick Buchanan, Sam Francis, Peter Brimelow, Joseph Sobran, Paul Gottfried. And they basically come around in response to the neocons, in response to the Israel worship, the Reaganite coalition that brings together the free market people and the pro-war people, almost to the exclusion of the social conservatives. And they say, wait a second, we're against immigration. We don't think Tel Aviv is the capital of the United States. And what happens to the paleocons is that they are effectively hunted down and eliminated.
Yeah.
And this is something that almost nobody talks about, that Joseph Sobran, for example, it's a name almost nobody knows, but he was one of maybe the second most prominent conservative intellectual in America in the 80s. Extremely prolific in almost all the magazines, very high profile. But he, like Russell Kirk and some others, had some choice words about the Israeli infiltration of the right. And for that, they called him an anti-Semite, got him fired, buried his name, and he dies in ignominy. Nobody even knows who he is. Sam Francis is another one of the biggest columnists in the 80s and 90s. He's at the Washington Examiner. By all accounts, he's brilliant. I mean, encyclopedic knowledge of history, of everything. He attends the American Renaissance Conference hosted by Jared Taylor, the first of its kind in 93. Dinesh D'Souza goes to the conference and he watches what happens. He writes down his observations. He writes about it in a book. And he says, these guys are all Nazis and racists and Klansmen. He lies. Jared Taylor threatens to sue the publisher for libel, and the publisher actually removes that chapter from the book because it was so dishonest. It didn't matter because D'Souza published that chapter independently as an article, and they got Sam Francis fired from the Examiner. And for the rest of his life, he never achieved the same status. And then Patrick Buchanan, he ran for president in 92. And just before he ran for president, Bill Buckley writes this book. It was an entire standalone issue of National Review, but then he publishes it as a book. It's called In Search of Anti-Semitism. And he talks about some comments Buchanan had made on the McLaughlin Group about Israel and about the original war in Iraq, and says Buchanan's a Jew hater. He's a conspiratorial Jew hater, anti-Semite. And the book doesn't succeed. They tried to blackball him, but he's too famous. He loses in 92 anyway, doesn't win in the primary, but they do the same thing to him. And for 20 years, even into the mid-2000s, they eventually get him fired from MSNBC because of what he wrote in Suicide of a Superpower.